Let me bring in Victor Teo. He's a political scientist and a specialist on Indo-Pacific affairs and joins me live now from Singapore. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. First, let me get your thoughts on, Xi Jinping calling for a conference aimed at bringing peace and stability to the Middle East.
Yes, thank you for having me. I think the Chinese president's call is something that is long overdue. In fact, China and Russia and most of the Arab world has taken up the position that the fighting should stop. So this is something that I think a majority of the nation states and around the world agrees upon. One of the first things that, there are a few things here. I think the Chinese are very keen for a comprehensive ceasefire to be implemented, and that civilians should be protected effectively. There should also be humanitarian assistance administered as soon as possible. And of course, the real settlement is for this conflict will be the two-state solution that is being proposed, not only by China, but I think a majority of the United Nations General Assembly agrees with this position. So the call for conference is not something new, and I think it is gathering a lot of support around the world.
Right. We are seeing China's influence grow in the region, definitely. But how involved do you think China would get in this particular conflict, and what influence do you think China could possibly have on the war on Gaza?
Well, first of all, I think China is one of the few states that would be able to bring a counterweight of sorts to the presence of the United States in the region. And secondly, I think China is seen as a player that is more even-handed, certainly more even-handed than the United States. To that extent, China is also a friend of Israel, so it's probably able to leverage more on its relations with Tel Aviv than any of the other powers in the Western world. But having said that, I think it's going about the matter in a more tactful manner, because China, I think from Chinese perspective, it feels that it should not add to the, if you like, the tension and the conflict that is ongoing there. So China is very wary to intervene militarily in that sense.
So business-wise, Victor, do you think that China would be able to outdo its main rival, the United States, in the region?
The problem is that the solution that is being called for, the two states solution, is something that China cannot unilaterally help to make happen. It has to happen at the level of the United Nations. And already at the General Assembly, we see it happen. So the onus is actually up to the other party that we are talking about here, and that is Israel and the United States, to calibrate and modify their positions so that this goal can be met. So the question, therefore, is how much of this conference how much of this pressure that China can bring to the table to, if you like, help Tel Aviv and Washington perhaps reconcile their approach towards the region so that the two-state solution can be met.
Indeed. Victor Teo, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that insight with us. I appreciate it.